Welcome to Da Headlines. I'm Li Wei-Tai. Thank you for joining us. Coming up in today's show, severe flooding in Malaysia's Kuching displaces hundreds of residents who receive food from Tzu Chi within hours of the evacuation. As Taiwan's Shimen Reservoir has passed its maximum sedimentation capacity, experts are actively finding new water sources before it's too late. And think twice before you throw your garbage into the ocean. In our new feature, we find out about the impact of human pollution on marine life. In Manila, the sprawling capital of the Philippines, a gas explosion early in the month caused 19 families to lose their homes. Tzu Chi volunteers surveyed the damage and handed out relief items to the victims in their hour of greatest need.
We were sleeping at that time and the gas tank explosion sound woke us up. The fire almost got to my daughter. Thankfully, my husband pulled her out in time.
This mother who suffers a burn on her leg says she can deal with the pain, but losing her home, she's now helpless and does not know where to go. Fortunately, Tzu Chi is here to help. Among the relief items, residents are most curious about the environmentally made blanket that will keep them warm throughout the night. Whether it is food or daily necessities, everything comes with love from Tzu Chi volunteers.
We lost all our belongings. These items are what we need the most. Thank you very much.
A word of encouragement means a great deal to these residents.
Though I'm poor, money doesn't mean everything. Like the Jinsi aphorism says, I can help people. I learn a lot from these words of wisdom.
Rich or poor, everyone can give money to help others in need.
More people were in need of help, but this time in Malaysia, as flash floods hit Kuching in Sarawak on Tuesday, January 11th, inundating several low-lying areas and forcing around 750 people to evacuate to relief centers. Tzu Chi volunteers quickly mobilized to bring freshly made food to the flood-affected people. The delicious hot meals were a great comfort to the temporarily displaced families in the wake of the storm.
On January 11, 2011, a 12-hour rainstorm flooded several of Kuching's low-lying areas, submerging many roads. The hardest hit areas include Desawara and Stapok, where around 750 people were evacuated to relief centers. Kuching Tzu Chi volunteers immediately formed two teams and carried out aid work in different areas.
You need to organize the aid work in a structured manner. They have made 700 lunch boxes that will be distributed at 6:30.
Around 60 Tzu Chi volunteers braved the storm to deliver food. Without any electricity, volunteers find their way using car lights and a spotlight to make their delivery.
I'm happy now and feel much better because we're getting hot food. It's difficult for us to cook as all of our belongings have been taken away by the water.
Thank you. I feel better now. It's great.
A warmed heart and a bright smile. Camaraderie is giving these affected people courage to stand back up in the wake of the unforeseen disaster.
Moving to Taiwan, Tzu Chi volunteers visited the Women's Detention Center in Taipei's Tucheng on Friday, the 14th of January, to hold a year-end blessing ceremony. Apart from speaking about the importance of conservation work, the visitors also brought gifts and books for the detainees for the coming Chinese New Year. The volunteers said they hope to bring family-like support to help these women through a rough patch in their lives.
A group of Tzu Chi volunteers arrived at Taipei Tucheng Women's Detention Center to hold a year-end blessing ceremony. While volunteers perform sign language, some women follow the song.
It's a shame because they're so young. Seeing them, I feel sad, but I tell these women, since they're here, they should calm down. It's more important to get out and not come back in again.
既环保又健康，这才是地球的好孩子。
Volunteers teach the detainees the importance of conservation work and even organized a quiz with rewards.
瓶罐罐，本来说可以拿去工厂去抽丝剥茧啊，可以做一些有用的东西回收。
Apart from the activities, volunteers also bring red envelopes so that the women can all write a letter home to their families.
Every year we make the red packets and put a jinsi aphorism inside. We hope they can attach a letter to let their parents know they're safe and well here.
To make the coming Chinese New Year more festive, volunteers bring books and gifts, hoping to pass on the family-like warmth and help these detainees through this difficult time of their lives.
Staying in Taiwan on January 5th, 2011, the crew of a Chinese oil tanker from Fujian that was illegally selling diesel in the waters of Penghu were detained by Chinese Coast Guards. After more than a week, food and clean clothes were running out on board. The authorities contacted Tzu Chi, and volunteers very quickly prepared aid packages for the detainees.
At the thrift shop in the Penghu Tzu Chi recycling station, volunteers pick out some winter warmers for their latest mission. In the rain, caregivers head to the local Coast Guard administration building with rice and clothes for the crew members of a detained Fujian oil tanker.
We brought some underwear and clothes for the people on the boat. We also have 2 bags of rice. What else might they need?
The Fujian oil tanker was found illegally selling diesel in Taiwan's waters. The entire crew was apprehended for interrogation by Taiwan's authorities more than a week ago. Local Tzu Chi volunteers very quickly extended a helping hand.
It's very cold now and you are running out of rice to eat and clothes to wear. We bought some garments for you. The Coast Guard administration was very kind to contact us about your situation.
After being notified, it took volunteers less than 2 hours to prepare and deliver the clothes and food to the Chinese crew.
In the future, don't challenge the law, be law-abiding citizens and keep yourselves and your families out of trouble. It's good you called home so they won't be too worried about you.
With some gentle reminders, the volunteers hope that these detainees have learned their lesson and stay away from illegal activities.
On this day, the 17th of January, the renowned civil engineer John Lucien Savage of the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation helped survey Taiwan's Shimen Reservoir on this day in 1955. Construction began the next year and was completed in 1964. It was the first multifunctional reservoir on the island to provide irrigation, hydroelectric power, tap water and flood prevention. Recently, landslides brought down by typhoons have cut the life of the reservoir by 60 years. After the first in 1973, the second oil crisis occurred on this day in 1979 due to the Iranian Revolution, which severely disrupted the country's oil production and suspended petroleum exports. The Gulf War in the 90s is considered to be the third oil crisis, which hastened worldwide research into sustainable and renewable energy sources. On this day in 1991, coalition forces launched the largest aerial bombardment in history on Iraq after it failed to withdraw from Kuwait. Iraq invaded its neighbour on August 2, 1990. The war ended on February 28, 1991, with Iraq defeated. A 6.6 magnitude quake struck California of the United States on this day in 1994 and lasted 45 seconds. By the evening of the same day, local Tzu Chi volunteers were already in the hard-hit areas to provide water, food and free clinics. Volunteers throughout the rest of the country also canvassed funds to help the recovery effort. With the support of a local Chinese radio station, Tzu Chi volunteers went on air in the United States to share their message of truth, goodness and beauty. Earlier in 1991, Tzu Chi's television program started to be shown by a local station. A 6.8 magnitude tremor shook Kobe, the sixth largest city in Japan, for 20 seconds. More than 6,400 people perished, and property losses in this busy seaport were over $100 billion. As a result, Japan began enforcing strict building codes to ensure structures could withstand a 7.0 magnitude quake.
The renowned American civil engineer John Lucien Savage helped build many dams in the United States, such as the Hoover and Shasta dams. In 1944, he came up with Yangtze River Gorge Dam in China. In 1955, on this day, he came to Taiwan to help with the largest dam built in Southeast Asia at that period, Shimen Reservoir, that was vital to Taiwan's agricultural industry in the 1950s and 60s. Unfortunately, John didn't take into account Taiwan's geography in his design and did not prepare against the sedimentation problem that would later shorten the reservoir's life. In our next feature, we look at the history of Shimen Reservoir and the lessons we can learn about how we use our water.
大坝工区的施工房舍以及工厂仓库已经建筑完成。
In 1955, Taiwan's Shimen Reservoir began construction.
开工以后半年多的时间。 工程已完成了一半。
On January 17th of the same year, the renowned American civil engineer John Lucien Savage surveyed the work site. The reservoir will be completed in 1964. 90% of the dam's water supply was allocated to agricultural irrigation, which was vital to Taiwan's farming industry from the 50s to 60s. Now, the reservoir has a different role.
When Fei Cui Reservoir was completed in 1987, the tap water demand for Taipei County was mostly transferred there. And in the Taoyuan area, the farming industry shrank.
The reservoir that was once vital to people in northern Taiwan now faces a different problem: severe sedimentation. The original design of the dam did not include a sediment discharge device, with sands and earth washed down from upstream over the years, especially with landslides caused by recent typhoons. The current sediment level sits at 96 million tons, far exceeding the maximum level of 57 million tons.
Typhoon Gloria in 1963 and Typhoon Area of 2004 together dumped nearly 60 million tons of debris into the reservoir, which is 2/3 of the current sediment level.
Currently, dredging is ongoing for 8 hours a day. A discharge channel has also been built to remove sand at an estimated rate of 1 million tons a year. Clearly, this is not enough.
It's impossible to prevent the sediment's level from increasing. While we need to think about stopping debris from upstream, we need to also think about how to effectively discharge the sediment.
Now, Taiwan's Water Resources Agency is looking for alternatives to fulfill the island's water needs, such as water recycling or seawater desalination. In the future, a desalination plant will be built in Hsinchu. But the easiest thing to do is for each and every one of us to conserve the water we use.
The Chinese say that the ocean is the mother of life, yet our seas are in deep peril because of the buildup of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which is making the water more acidic. Other man-made problems are the plastic bags and discarded nets that litter the ocean. As we find out in our new feature on this crisis at sea, two of the creatures that suffer the worst are turtles and coral.
At the National Museum of Marine Biology and Aquarium in Pingdong, Taiwan, a green turtle with one leg missing fights for its life.
It was found tied to a reef with a line, and its arm was rotting. After coming here, our vets amputated its arm, so now it only has one arm. Although we saved its life, it will never be able to go back to the sea.
In partnership with the Forestry Commission, the National Aquarium takes in protected animals, most of which are illegally kept as pets, have mistakenly eaten fishing hooks, or were caught up in nets. The luckier ones are nursed to health and released into the wild. The keepers keep their distance when feeding the turtles so they do not get too used to human contact and will be able to survive when they are put back into the sea. In recent years, increasing carbon dioxide emissions are making the mildly alkaline seawater more acidic. In addition, overfishing and too much plastic and other garbage that finds its way into the ocean are also threatening sea life.
We discovered a lot of dead green turtles. After opening them up, in their stomachs there was lots of plastic, which was the main cause of death. Colored plastic bags in the water look like jellyfish. When turtles eat them, their guts will get blocked and they die.
Apart from deadly plastic bags, other underwater killers are discarded nets.
Fishing nets for green turtles are very dangerous because the turtle is a very curious creature. It goes in to bite it and gets caught. Some sea turtles get trapped up in the nets, cannot get up to breathe and die.
Fishing nets pose another threat to the algae that has a symbiotic relationship with coral.
When algae cannot photosynthesize, it dies, bleaches the coral and dies.
Coral polyps have tentacles covered with photosynthetic algae that turn sunlight into carbohydrates to build the reef. So, when trash or fishing nets cover the coral, the algae cannot get the sunlight it needs, and the coral bleaches or even dies. Although reducing carbon dioxide emissions will not have an immediate impact on this underwater crisis, the least we can do is stop littering the seas with garbage to slow down the destruction of coral reefs and the creatures that rely on them for a habitat.
Cutting emissions and saving energy are top of everyone's agenda. And at the top of a building in Tzu Chi University's campus in Hualien, Taiwan, staff have created a vegetable garden for faculty and students to grow their own produce, get in touch with nature, and do something for the environment all at the same time.
Rolling up their sleeves, staff at Tzu Chi University in eastern Taiwan tend to a rooftop vegetable garden on campus. Allotments are available to staff to grow in a win-win situation for the gardeners, the school and the environment.
By taking up allotments and planting vegetables, they can learn how hard it is to grow things and cherish life.
From first-time growers to green-fingered experts, everyone here has caught the gardening bug.
Like my own children, a bit of my heart is here, and on breaks, I come to take a look and feel much better. It's a little garden where I can release stress.
As well as producing vegetables, the rooftop garden absorbs heat and lowers the temperature in the building, thus cutting the air conditioning bill. In another saving, the plants are even watered with collected rainwater.
In terms of cooling, it can lower the indoor temperature by around 2 to 5 degrees. And the rooftop garden can also freshen the air.
The keen growers who tend the rooftop garden say they're not only enjoying fresh and healthy vegetables, but doing something for the environment at the same time.
Another person who is doing something for our environment is 75-year-old Shi Qingshan from Kaohsiung, Taiwan. Despite only having one leg, the wheelchair-bound man stays positive, and every day he goes out to sweep up the leaves around his nursing home, come rain or shine.
Here at Kaohsiung Leng-Ai home in Taiwan, fallen leaves are everywhere. Thanks to 75-year-old wheelchair-bound Shi Qingshan, despite losing one of his legs, he manages to clean up the grounds every day.
I hold the dustpan and sweep the floor like this. Yes, it's exercise for me. I make sure it's very clean. Others say so too.
Come rain or shine, the man is devoted to keeping the garden clean.
After a typhoon, many trees will fall down, but he will come regularly every day to help, even on a typhoon day.
Grandpa Shi Qingshan takes cleaning as a workout and goes singing afterwards, always happily enjoys whatever he does.
one of Tzu Chi's year-end blessing ceremonies that took place in Tainan, Taiwan, we meet a wheelchair-bound man, Mu Yingjie, who became paralyzed after an accident while he was serving in the military. Initially, he struggled to come to terms with his conditions, but after long-term support from Tzu Chi, he is learning how to face the situation with a more peaceful heart.
With a full coin bank in hand, wheelchair-bound Mu Yingjie fell from heavy machinery when he was serving in the military and became paralyzed from the waist down.
Tzu Chi people have been visiting me every month for the past 5 years. They helped me learn how to face my situation.
Meanwhile, volunteers are singing a song to this young man who just had a glioma operation. Breaking into tears, his mother is heartbroken to see her son suffer.
They found a brain tumor, and after the operation, he couldn't walk. He's doing rehabilitation work, so we came here today, hoping to receive blessing from everyone and from Jingsi Abode Masters.
Surrounded by love and blessings, Chen says she has the strength and courage from Tzu Chi to accompany her son through this difficult time in life.
The recent spate of catastrophic flooding across the world has left people wondering what can be done to stop tragedies from happening in the future. Awareness and genuine concern for the environment, as well as compassion for the suffering, might be good places to start. So at Tzu Chi's year-end blessing ceremony in Thailand, held at the local chapter house, after being reminded once again about the alarming disasters happening across the world, participants enthusiastically donated to Tzu Chi. Together with volunteers, they also prayed for peace and love in the world.
Tzu Chi's year-end blessings are like a reunion for a big, happy family. A lot of people came with a coin bank they have saved over the past year for Tzu Chi's charity work. Yan Sanchun, an exchange student who was affected by the 2008 Sichuan quake, is deeply moved by how Tzu Chi made use of public donations to help rebuild his hometown.
The sound of the coins clanking together is very crisp and is a sound of love. It's like a waterfall of compassion gushing into a pool that flows to different places. It's an unforgettable experience.
The screening of major disasters in the world is urging people to pay more attention to the environment. Volunteers remind the audience to be less materialistic and more conservation-minded, which makes a great New Year's resolution for 2011.
At the end of the show, we go to Taichung, Taiwan to join volunteers at the Lunar Year-End Dinner gatherings held especially for seniors who live alone. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for watching DA Headlines. Goodbye.